Hey everyone, we are working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Hold on, hold on. Josh Sweat is skipping OTAs in Arizona, and nobody in the national media is treating this like the story it actually is? Because I need you to understand something right now. When a veteran pass rusher who just had the best season of his career decides he does not want to show up to voluntary workouts for his new head coach, that is not nothing. That is not a scheduling conflict. That is not a personal day. That is a football player sending a message, and the message is loud and it is clear. And it says, "Get me out of here. My name is Fave. You are locked into Favs." And today we are getting into the Josh Sweat situation, what it means for the Chicago Bears, and two free agent cornerbacks who have been walking through Hallis Hall like they're auditioning for a part in something special. Strap in. This one has layers. Let's start with Josh Sweat, because this is the headline and it deserves the full treatment. According to reporting aggregated by Tyler Drake citing Cardinals beat reporter John Gambadaro, out of Phoenix, Sweat has been absent from Arizona's OTAs despite being completely healthy. Let me repeat that. He is not hurt. He is not on the injury report. He simply has not shown up. And according to Kyle Okafor's reporting, there have been whispers circulating for a while now that Josh Sweat is not particularly happy with his situation in Arizona. This is not a new rumor. This is a rumor that has been building for months. And the OTA absence is the first tangible on-the-record confirmation that something is genuinely off between this player and this organization. Now, let me give you the full backstory so you understand exactly why this makes sense and why nobody who has been paying attention should be surprised. Josh Sweat spent the first 6 years of his NFL career in Philadelphia with the Eagles. 6 years in one of the most competitive, most winning, most electric environments in professional football. He was part of an organization that went to the Super Bowl, that built a culture of toughness and accountability, and that rewarded its players with real postseason success. Then, the Arizona Cardinals came calling with a big contract. And look, Fave is not going to sit here and pretend he would have turned down that money either. You signed the contract. That is what you are supposed to do. But here is the thing about going from Philadelphia to Arizona. It is a culture shock of seismic proportions. You go from winning to rebuilding. You go from a proven head coach to a project. And then, after one season, they fire that head coach too. Jonathan Gannon, who Sweat had a relationship with going back to their time together in Philadelphia, is now gone. Now he is with the Green Bay Packers. And Josh Sweat is sitting in Arizona, looking around at a roster that is multiple years away from contending, a brand new coaching staff he did not sign up to play for, and a contract that has no guaranteed money remaining after 2026. Tell me why he would want to stay. Here is what the stat line looks like for Josh Sweat over the past 4 years, and this is important context for the trade conversation. 11 sacks, 6.5 sacks, 8 sacks in Philadelphia, and then last year in Arizona, 12 sacks, a career high. The man is 29 years old. He just had the best season of his professional career, and he is locked into a contract that carries a $12.6 million cap hit for 2026 with no guaranteed money beyond that. From a pure value standpoint, this is about as clean a trade target as you are going to find at the edge rusher position. He is productive, he is durable, only 5 missed games since 2019, which is extraordinary for any pass rusher in this league. He fits multiple schemes, and he is cheap enough that the acquiring team is not mortgaging their future to add him. This is the kind of player that contending teams dream about finding available mid-cycle, and right now, he is available. Now let's talk about the Bears specifically, because this is where the conversation gets genuinely exciting. Chicago's pass rush has been one of the most discussed needs on this roster all offseason long. You have Montez Sweat anchoring one side, and before you make the joke, yes, Josh Sweat and Montez Sweat on the same defensive line would be the most chaotically perfect thing that could happen. And Fave is absolutely here for all of it. You have Austin Booker, who is an ascending young player with real upside on the other side, and you have some depth pieces in Shamar Turner and others fighting for snaps. But there is no true alpha on that edge opposite Montez. There is no guy who opposing offensive coordinators have to account for specifically in their game planning. And that absence is exactly what limits this defense from going from good to elite. Josh Sweat does not fix that problem completely, but he elevates the floor of the entire room in a meaningful way. He gives you a third legitimate edge threat on a defensive line that already has 2 capable players. And when defensive coordinators have to account for 3 edge rushers who can all generate real pressure, the chess match becomes infinitely more complicated for the offense. You cannot just slide your protection to one side. You cannot just chip one guy and move on. You have to respect all three, and that creates one-on-one opportunities across the entire front seven that do not exist right now. As reported through the Chicago Bears beat coverage, Sweat would have led this team in sacks last year based on his production in Arizona. Let that sink in for a second. A guy the Bears could potentially acquire for a third or fourth round pick would have been their best pass rusher a season ago. That is not a small thing. That is a significant upgrade hiding in plain sight. Let's talk trade value and what the actual transaction would look like, because this is where Bears fans need to be both excited and realistic at the same time. Arizona is in a full rebuild. Their roster situation right now is comparable to where Chicago was back in 2022 or 2023, a couple of years away from competing, still searching for their franchise quarterback answer, trying to accumulate draft capital and build through the draft. In that context, Josh Sweat, a 29-year-old pass rusher with no guaranteed money after next season, does not fit their timeline whatsoever. He is a veteran on a contender-facing contract playing for a team that is going to be drafting in the top 10. Arizona should be highly motivated to move him right now, while his value is at its peak. The asking price, based on everything being reported around this situation, is likely going to start somewhere in the second or third round range from Arizona's perspective. The Bears, being smart negotiators, would probably open with a fourth and see where that conversation goes. And here is where it gets genuinely creative, because there is a framework being floated that nobody is really talking about loudly, but absolutely should be. What if the Bears offered Arizona a third-round pick plus a player whose contract Arizona could absorb for 1 year and then cut with minimal cap penalty? The concept is essentially this. Chicago packages a draft pick with a veteran contract they are already looking to move. Arizona gets draft capital and a roster body to work with for the current season, and the Bears get their edge rusher while simultaneously clearing a salary they needed to restructure away from anyway. Both sides get what they need. The trade makes sense from a pure football and financial standpoint on both ends of it. Fave's personal take on this whole situation is pretty simple. I would make this trade. I would make it without a long internal debate. A third-round pick for a proven, durable, productive edge rusher who just hit a career high in sacks at 29 years old? In what world is that not excellent value? We're not talking about a first-round pick. We are not talking about mortgaging the future of this franchise. We are talking about a late day 2 or early day 3 selection for a player who directly addresses one of the most critical needs on the entire roster. The Bears have built significant draft capital over the past few years. They have their quarterback of the future firmly in place, and this is the moment when you stop collecting picks and start converting them into real football players who can help you win in the present. Caleb Williams is in year 2. The window is not fully open yet, but it is cracking open fast, and when it opens, you want to have the right pieces in place to take full advantage. The one hesitation, and I will be fair here because Fave does not just cheerlead without nuance, is the run defense limitation. Josh Sweat is primarily a pass rusher. His snap counts against the run are intentionally limited because that is how every coaching staff has deployed him throughout his entire career. He is not an every down 3 and 4 technique defensive end. He is a rotational edge who terrorizes quarterbacks in passing situations and has become very, very good at being exactly that. In Chicago's scheme under what Dennis Allen is building defensively, that is completely fine. You do not need him to be a 3-down player. You need him to be a rotational edge who keeps Montez Sweat and Austin Booker fresh while creating mismatches in obvious passing situations. That role exists on this roster right now, and the fit makes schematic sense on every level. Now let's shift gears, because the Bears have also been busy evaluating cornerback depth, and there are 2 names you need to know heading into the next phase of this offseason. According to Jordan Schultz's reporting, former Kansas City Chiefs corner Nate Johnson visited with Chicago on Tuesday. And then per Aaron Wilson's reporting, the Bears worked out veteran corner Sam Webb on Wednesday, back-to-back days. 2 cornerbacks in 2 days. That is not a coincidence, and it is not random scheduling. That is a team telling you exactly what position they are targeting and exactly what type of player profile they are looking for. Let me give you the background on both players because the names deserve proper context. Nate Johnson was a 7th-round pick of the Kansas City Chiefs back in 2022, which automatically means something because Kansas City's defensive system is one of the most technically demanding corner situations in the entire league. If you can survive and contribute there, you can play in the NFL. He appeared in 29 career games, operated as a legitimate backup contributor, and put real work in on special teams for a championship-level organization. The concern around Johnson is the injury history, and it is a real concern. He missed all of 2023 with a torn ACL and then lost most of last season to a shoulder injury. 2 significant injuries in back-to-back seasons is the kind of medical file that makes teams nervous, which is almost certainly why a player with Kansas City pedigree is still sitting unsigned this deep into the offseason. The Bears reportedly had Johnson in for a visit alongside the Giants and the Eagles, so real interest exists around the league. Teams are just waiting on the medicals to come back clean before they commit. Sam Webb is a completely different profile. Bigger, more physical, built like a press corner who can get his hands on wide receivers at the line of scrimmage and disrupt route timing. He went undrafted, signed with the Raiders in 2022, and has since bounced through Carolina, Tennessee, and Cleveland in various roster capacities. Some active roster time, some practice squad. 36 career games of NFL experience spread across multiple different schemes and defensive systems. Not a star, not a projected starter, but a professional football player who has demonstrated he can compete and contribute at the NFL level when given the opportunity. According to the reporting, his physical profile as a bigger outside corner fits what Dennis Allen prefers to deploy in press coverage situations, which adds real schematic appeal beyond just the generic depth value. Here is the context that makes this cornerback search make complete sense right now. The Bears had to cut their 5th-round pick from last year's draft class, Zay Frazier, before rookie minicamp even got started, which means a developmental piece they were counting on to grow in the system is already gone before he took a single real rep. That stings a little, but more importantly, it creates a genuine need for experienced depth at the position. When you look at what Chicago actually has behind their top corners right now, the picture gets thin in a hurry. Terrell Smith is coming off a torn ACL and may not be fully cleared for full contact yet. Malik Muhammad is there but is relatively young and still developing. Dante Manning and Dallas Flowers are more training camp competition types who are fighting for spots rather than players who provide real security. Josh Blackwell has been deployed primarily as a special teamer throughout his entire career. Jalen Jones is in the same boat. The Bears need at least one veteran corner with real NFL snap experience who can contribute on special teams, push the younger guys in practice, and step in as legitimate emergency depth if one of their starters takes a hit during the preseason. Both Nate Johnson and Sam Webb check that box in different ways. Johnson has the scheme pedigree and the coverage instincts developed in Kansas City's system. Webb has the physical tools and the versatility that comes from surviving in multiple different defensive environments. And the fact that Richard Haynes, who carries genuine organizational influence on the defensive side of the ball in Chicago, has reportedly been involved in these evaluations, tells you this is not just a front office decision being made in isolation. The coaching staff is actively engaged in finding the right fit, and when coaches are driving the evaluation process, you tend to end up with additions that actually work in the system, rather than names that look good on paper and disappear by week 4 of the preseason. Let me zoom all the way out now and give you the complete picture of what the Bears are building across all 3 of these stories, because I think the Josh Sweat trade interest, the cornerback visits, and the depth signings we covered yesterday are all telling you the exact same thing about this organization. This is a front office that knows precisely where it is in the building process and is managing every single layer of the roster with clear intention and coherent strategy. The starters are set. The scheme is established. The quarterback of the future is firmly in place and entering a crucial developmental year. Now it is time to build depth that is genuinely meaningful, add competition that makes the 53-man roster better from top to bottom, and acquire impact players wherever the opportunity presents itself, at a reasonable and sustainable cost. The Josh Sweat situation is the crown jewel of this current moment if it materializes the way everything is pointing. A proven edge rusher, unhappy in a rebuilding situation, available at a price that does not break the bank, who fits both schematically and financially, and would immediately make this defensive front one of the most dangerous units in the NFC. The cornerback additions are the organizational discipline moves, smart, targeted, addressing a real need without overpaying or reaching in a moment of panic. And the Salvon Ahmed and Anthony Johnson Jr. Signings from earlier this week are the foundation work that keeps the whole structure sound when injuries inevitably hit. This is what a real rebuild to contender transition looks like from the inside. It is not always glamorous. It does not always make the national ticker or the top of the highlight show. But when you look at all of it together, the quiet depth signings, the workout visits, the trade rumors being monitored with discipline, you see a front office operating with a plan. Ryan Poles knows his roster. He knows his needs, and he is addressing them methodically, one move at a time, without panic and without giving away the future to satisfy the present. Caleb Williams is in year 2. Ben Johnson's offense is about to take a significant leap forward, with another offseason of installation and continuity. The defense has the pieces to be legitimately elite if the pass rush comes together the way everyone in that building believes it can. And if Josh Sweat lands in Chicago, I am telling you right now, The NFC North is going to have a real, genuine, serious problem on its hands. And Fave is going to be right here when it happens. All right, that is the full breakdown. And now I need you to do something for me before you go anywhere. If you have been watching this whole thing and you are as fired up about the Josh Sweat possibility as I am, smash that like button right now. Not in a minute. Right now. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you make the Josh Sweat trade? And what is the absolute most you are willing to give up to get him? Is it a third? Is it a third and a contract swap? Would you go as high as a second if Arizona pushed it there? I want every single take flooding that comment section. And if you walked away from this video knowing more about your Chicago Bears than when you clicked in, and I know you did, hit that subscribe button, join the Fabs family, and never miss another breakdown. We are here every single day, no filter, no fluff, just real Bears talk for real Bears fans. Let's go.